Hello and welcome to Red Gaming Tech for your daily dose of binary news with myself and Martha. Today is the 29th of August and I have some news for you regarding Steam, as Steam's notorious no refunds policy has come under legal fire. Now, as you probably know, Steam does not give refunds for purchases post-launch except under extraordinary circumstances, and Valve's official policy is that they simply don't offer refunds. Now, this has sparked the ire of the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, which actually argues that Valve is in violation of Australian consumer laws. And the ACCC chairman Rod Sims said in a statement, quote, "Valve may be an American-based company with no physical presence in Australia, but it is carrying on business in Australia by selling to Australian consumers who are protected by the Australian consumer law." Now, the ACCC, that's a little bit of a tongue twister to say, did allege that Valve made the following, quote, false or misleading representations to their Australian consumers. And again, I'm quoting here, quote, "Consumers were not entitled to a refund for any games sold by Valve via Steam in any circumstances. Valve had excluded, restricted or modified statutory guarantees and or warranties that goods will be of acceptable quality. Valve was not under any obligation to repair, replace or provide a refund for a game where the consumer had not contacted and attempted to resolve the problem with the computer game developer, and the statutory consumer guarantees did not apply to games sold by Valve." So the issue isn't so much that Valve has failed to give refunds, but the fact that it's stated that it doesn't give refunds, and the Australian consumer law seems to apply to all business offerings, goods or services within the nation. Valve could be in a little bit of hot water, and a federal court hearing has actually been scheduled for October the 7th. Now, this isn't to say that Valve never ever in a million years gives refunds on their products. They sometimes do, but as an individual, getting one is, let's say, rather difficult. And the onus is usually on the user to show that a product is faulty or incorrectly advertised, and usually only when a successful refund goes public, as with Ubisoft's From Dust, that users manage to take advantage. Mass refunds are really rare as well. More often than not, mass refunds are actually organised by the publishers, for example, the recent Colin McRae game. And Valve itself has elected to issue mass refunds in cases where it has removed a game from service following complaints, such as, say, with the War Z and Earth Year 2066. Now, there has actually been a little bit of an update regarding this since the original story actually broke, and was a statement made from Valve to Kotaku Australia. And they said, quote, "As with most software products, unless required by local law, we do not offer refunds or exchanges on games, DLC, or in-game items purchased on our website or through the Steam client. Please review Section 3 of the Steam Subscriber Agreements for more information," which isn't really a statement. I'm sure we can all agree it sounds like something they copy-pasted from the Steam information page. Now, to be honest, Valve's return policy, or lack of, definitely needs to be addressed. There needs to be a proper system in place for, say for example, if a game just flat out refuses to run. Like, you should have the horsepower to run a game, but it doesn't because it doesn't like your graphics card or your drivers or whatever, and even a few months down the line, after it's been patched up the wazoo, you still can't play it. But, as I said, it's notoriously difficult to get a refund, even though you have a product that is not fit for purpose. And we have similar laws in the UK where basically a consumer, of course, has the right to return a product if it's not fit for purpose. And if I buy a game, look at the specs and go, okay, I can run that, and then I can't because of X, Y and Z technical reason that seems to be still remaining after several months of patches and fixes and attempts by myself to sort it out, then by logic and by law you're allowed a refund. If I, for example, many years ago, I bought a game for the PS2 by the name of Okami. You guys should know it, I've done a few videos of it, it's one of my favourite games of all time. And for some reason, I just could not get past the start screen. What did I do? I went and returned it. I could have returned it, I actually elected to actually exchange it for another copy of the game, but that's not the point. The point is, I took the game back to the thing, and it was fine. Now, obviously, it's different with digital because this was obviously a PS2 game, physical copy, etc. It's more difficult with a digital game to actually see that it's a legitimate concern that the customer hasn't just, well, played it and then trying to be cheeky. But that's why you need, like, I'd say, a time limit. Like, say, for example, if you buy an item of clothing, you have 28 days to return it, or 2 weeks. It really depends on where you go. So, say, for example, with a digital game, you have 3 days to return it. Now, even that might be too long, because if it's a really short game, you could probably complete it in 3 days. But a company as big as Valve, as clever as Valve, could probably come up with a way to see if there's any game time logged, like significant game time, not just like an hour or whatever, and perhaps something like that. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't run Steam. I don't know the ins and outs of their platform, but it seems like there could be a way to do refunds, or at least give Steam Wallet money or something, some way so you can get rid of games that you can't run or just end up being really terrible. Like, say you bought Aliens Colonial Marines. If you bought that on disc, you could have returned it, but not digitally. And that's something I feel needs to be addressed. I love Steam. I love it to bits. Every PC gamer does, but it does need some work, especially in the refunds department. Now, I don't want this to go to a big, huge thing in court. I'd rather that didn't go that far, as of course Valve, as with most people, is one of my favourite companies, but I do hope this makes them realise that this is something that needs to be addressed, and then addresses it. Hopefully that can happen before this ends up being too much of a mess, but of course we'll have to see. Anyway guys, that is me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.